Hello everybody, welcome back to another Mortal Jellyfish video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about whether or not you should or should not buy Freiya. I mean that all depends on if you do have the Bobux. If you don't have the Bobux, I can't help so much with that. So, but yeah, if you do have the Bobux, I'm gonna help determine whether you're wasting your Bobux on this kit or not. And if you appreciate that kind of video, then make sure to like and subscribe. It does help any ton. On that note, let's hop into the pros and cons and some Freiya gameplay, and let's talk about this kit and whether or not it's worth your money. Alright, so now that we got that gameplay rolling to keep you entertained, that spicy action fighting that every Bedwars viewer loves to watch, let's dive into some pros here as you do with these should you buy videos. So first up, we got the first pro here is going to be that you can slow people. So now you're going to have to get, like, I think it's somewhere between 200-300 damage. I haven't sat and tested it to get the exact value, but I know it's somewhere between like 2 to 3 kills, but you don't have to have the kills, it's just the damage to unlock the slowing power. Once you've unlocked that slowing power, if you hit somebody consecutively 4 times, you'll see this thing build above their head, and when it fills, it's going to put a slow on them. Now this will break their sprint from what somebody told me when I was hitting them, and with a normal sword it's going to last maybe like a half a second, or maybe it's a second. It feels really short though. And then if you have the frost sword that comes with this kit, that sword will freeze them a little bit longer. It feels like maybe a second to 2 seconds. It's still pretty short, but you know, it does slow them a bit longer. And that's going to move us into the second pro, and that's that it has the sword, the frost sword, which is stronger than a diamond sword, but weaker than an emerald sword, because typically there's that big gap between getting from a diamond sword to an emerald sword, because you're talking 20 emeralds. Well, so instead of having the emerald sword, you're going to get this frost sword, which is going to be 2 more emeralds than a diamond sword, but it's going to slap for 40 damage. Now that's not that, I mean, it's good, but it's not the best. So let me explain. A diamond sword is normally going to hit for 35, and this frost sword will hit for 40. So it's going to do about 5 more than the diamond sword for 2 more emeralds, but it is going to do 15 less than an emerald sword, because the emerald sword does 55 damage. So for saving 14 emeralds, you are going to be doing 15 damage less a hit to no armor. Obviously, when you get in the armor and scaling, that's going to scale a little weird and different. But yeah, basically, it's kind of like this middle grade diamond sword to emerald sword, except I'd say it leans more towards the diamond sword side. It's nice to have though, no, you know, it gives you that middle area for something a little bit stronger than everybody else on the field is going to have at 4 to 6 emeralds. Instead, you're going to have something that hits a little bit harder earlier on. So it has its power there, but when somebody moves to emerald swords, you're going to start feeling weak. Next up though, that's going to bring us into our third con, and it stops people from running from you. And I think that's pretty self-explanatory with the slow breaking people's sprints, or just slowing them for even just a second or two. That's going to stop them from running. Now, I do know there is one counterpart to this, and that's when you're hitting people, the knockback of the sword sometimes will re-throw them back out away from you so they can start getting back away again. But the slow, either way, does help stop people from running from you, so you can kill them, and you don't have to deal with people running as much. Now, they might jump off the edge and pop balloons. That's happened a lot to me. But anyways, let's move into our next pro. And the next pro is that the sword is a pretty good value. In my opinion, the sword is a decent value. You're paying 2 more emeralds above a diamond sword for 5 extra damage and buffing your slow as well, which, in my opinion, plays pretty well. It's a pretty good deal, in my opinion. And then that's going to bring us into the 5th pro here, and that is that the kit looks cool. The kit's really well designed. It's got some shoulder pads, it's got a cape. Honestly, the longer kits go on, the cooler they start looking. It also has the frost sword, which is probably, I'd argue it's probably the coolest sword in the game now. I mean, you know, Rage Blade is cool, but it kind of looks like lacking in design. They really should remake Rage Blade to look cooler. But that Frostblade do be looking pretty snazzy. Now that is all I do got for the pros for this video. So now we're gonna balance out all those pros I just gave you with some of the cons. Now the first con on our list is you cannot get an emerald sword. This means when late game comes and people start getting emerald swords and whatnot, you're going to feel at a disadvantage. You're going to feel a bit weaker than the others, which is the second con here, is that you're weaker late game. And this is just going to happen because, like I said, the emerald sword on a target that has no armor is 15 damage more than the frost sword. And you don't have the option to buy it no more because the emerald sword has been taken out of the shop and replaced with the frost sword. And that's going to lead us into kind of a third con here, and that is that the sword itself is a good value, but you got to remember that you now with the armory in the shop, you're going to have to get 4 diamonds as well invested to get the sword. So it's actually 4 diamonds and another 6 emeralds. So the diamond armory thing can make this a bit hard to get early on because, you know, back in the day we used to rush, get 4 emeralds, get a diamond sword, chop people up, and this would just be 2 more emeralds, which means you'd have to wait for 1 more spawn, which isn't too bad though. But the problem with that is that now it's locked behind those 4 diamonds as well. So just make sure to get your armory with this so you don't get caught out. And that's going to bring us into the 4th con, and that is the slow feels kind of short. And I kind of touched on this during the pros. The slow does feel a bit short, and sometimes the knockback when you're hitting people will kind of push them away. And sometimes you'll notice that they'll be slowed, but then as soon as they get out of that slow, you hit them and the knockback shoves them too far away, and then their running is successful and they just keep running from you. So yeah, sometimes the slow feels a little off. I'd almost prefer if the slow wasn't as strong and lasted longer. That way it was better for chases, you know, people from running, you know. With that real strong slow being real short, it only has a very small window for killing the enemy before the knockbacks or whatever can toss them away from you. So make sure you watch that. So, should you or should you not buy this kit? Well, I mean, this is kind of a hard one to place. It's definitely not something like an axolotl Amy that feels just completely really good to play, and it doesn't quite feel as bad as something like Lassie that's more of an obvious, I don't know, it's more of a fun kit, not a competitive kit. This kit kind of falls in that middle area, more so that maybe it fits a player's niche, like maybe a specific person would enjoy this kit more than your average player. This kit's good for hunting people, so if you really hate runners, this will help with it a little bit. I'm not going to lie to you, the slow is really short, so it's not going to hold people there very long. But if you do hate runners, this kit might give you that slight little edge you're looking for to stop them from running. Now, if they do jump off and balloon, you don't have much going for you there. They're probably going to get away, unless you have balloons and can jump on them, which I did one time, and it worked pretty well. And then the sword, the emerald sword. If you're a late game player, if every game you like waiting till the late game, you like getting emerald armor, emerald swords, do not buy this kit. You are handicapping yourself hands down. If you and your buddies like to play farmer or beekeeper and stuff, this kit may work with that, but if you really go full late game to all the full emerald, this kit is not for you because, like I said, you're not given that option to buy the emerald sword, so you're permanently gonna be stuck with your frost sword, which is just not as strong as that, so you're gonna feel at a bit of a disadvantage. That said, if, like I said, basically, if you want something that's got this little bit of a power spike to the later mid game with the 6 emerald sword that's stronger than a diamond sword, if you want a little bit of a slow to stop people from running, this kit might be for you. But if you're a late game player, I wouldn't get this. And early game players, you might be able to use this kit decently well, but it might feel like a bit of a struggle to get that frost sword on occasion. So yeah. Hopefully with that, guys, I was able to either save your Bobux or convince you to spend those Bobux. And yeah, if you do enjoy the video, make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this. On that note, I'm going to wrap up the video by thanking our members of the channel. So, thank you Mama Peas, thank you Redwood Deadwood, thank you Insolence Axolotl, and thank you Clockwork Gaming. And we got a new member. Our newest member is Darkest Troller. So, welcome to being a member and welcome to the shoutouts for while you're here with us. So, thank you everybody for being members of the channel. It does help out a ton. And on that note, guys, I will see you all in the next video. Peace out.